John Macaroon. I write for Sports Illustrated's All Lion team page, cover the Lions. I'm there every day on the inside, getting all the scoops and information, and really looking forward to getting the pulse of what everybody's been thinking and seeing what's going on with the Detroit Lions. Because, look, it's early in the season, but the third game against the Falcons, it's already a big game.
Yep, I'm Walt Stringer, one half of the co-host of East West. Well, not East West. I also write for East West, but Lions Avenue podcast, right along with this young man down here, Ashanti Beasley. We cover the Lions from each and every angle that you're looking for.
Hey y'all, what's up? This is Shanti Beasley, better known V for the win. I am one half, the other half, the lesser half. No, I'm just joking. Walt Stringer, Lions Avenue. We've been on for 2 years now, so we're
Yep.
trying to grow it, trying to make a community out of it. Glad to be here. All these guys are just like man, just people that I like look up to in the industry. So it's good to be on. Darcy, thanks for having me. Thanks, John. Thanks, Adam. Kurt Steele is the man. So I'll let him take it away.
What up, dude? It's Kurt Steele Podcast. I write for Sideline Report and an independent contractor for yardbarker.com. Man, I've been in the game since 2018. Was a Die Hard Den podcast at first, then rebranded, was over in Detroit Lions on the Prowl until they folded a few months ago. But now, riding solo, kurtsteele.com, Sideline Report, Yard Barker, man. Great to be here. My people, first time on with Adam, man. He got the Bayou, not the hookah pipe today. So what's up? What's up, everybody?
Yo, I'm the real Kurt Steele. No, I'm Adam Baydoun. Pleasure to meet all of you for the first time outside of Doc. I wish I didn't see you again, but here we are. I just do my own thing. Currently hosting my own show, and I'm happy to be here.
Man, so let's get right into it. How nervous are you guys after the loss? I know everyone reacts. I tend to run emotional, so I definitely look at all the things that concern me with that defense. That wasn't the performance that anybody wanted to see from Aaron Glenn. You had the extra couple days to prepare. You had all the opportunity to try and stop Geno Smith and that Seahawks offense, and you looked at it, and it was a complete flop right from the get-go, right from the jump. The Seahawks were able to take advantage. 8-minute drive, score. They quiet the crowd down, even though the crowd wanted to be real loud. Just want to get your guys' pulse of where you're at with this football team. For me, I look at it like it's a football team now that, was going to need a lot of good things and luck to have success. It's a team with more talent and depth, but the injury bug and some of the warts that were there last year are starting to arise with Aaron Glenn's defensive scheme, Dan Campbell's decision-making, and so those kind of things can end up resulting in a loss. But I still think that the future is still bright for this Lions football team. I still see 9-10 wins. But if the injury bug still plagues this football team moving forward, there's no guaranteed wins in the National Football League. You're moving forward to the Falcons and the Packers. Both are going to be unique challenges. So I'm just curious what you guys think. For me, definitely my alarms have been raised regarding what the hell happened against the Seahawks at Ford Field in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, you look at this the game with Seattle, definitely have some concerns with the coverage. You look at what they're doing up front. You having pressures, but where's the pass rush? I mean, like you getting pressures, you all these pressures, but you're not getting sacks. I'm like, where's the sacks coming? You had all this promise of the new what's that, the silver rush pass, pass rush, and it just doesn't there. As much as Aiden Hutchinson and those other guys are getting back in the backfield, there's no sacks. And you look at that affects the back end of your defense. Guys can only cover for so long. You're gonna have guys getting wide open when you can't get pressure on the quarterback. Of the guys just stepping up in the pocket or moving, making plays with his legs, and you can't get the quarterback enough pressure to get him to the ground. It's just going to be a problem. I'm looking at this right. You can have the best secondary in the world, but if you can't get pressure on the quarterback, it's just going to be gaps. It's going to be holes. I think that we're playing a little too much zone. I'm seeing this, and Aaron Glenn can say what he wants to say. How we're playing zone, dude? You can look at the field and tell we're playing zone, and it's just not working. I mean, you got to switch it up, man. But you're not blitzing, you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, and that it's affecting how the team is playing right now, especially secondary. I just don't like what I'm seeing with the rebound secondary. But with the injury bug, I have to say this: they have a plan in place. We have some depth. Guys who used to be starters are stepping back into a more important role. You look at Romeo Okwara, used to be a starter. You look at Tracy Walker, who was a captain and a starter, and now he's back in his starting role. Kind of got pushed out of the way when Brian Branch took over that nickel spot, and that pushed C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the safety spot. He's going to come in. I think Tracy Walker will be ready. I think he'll be fine. I think Romeo stepping into that spot that James Houston held. I hope he's not on special teams like Houston was when he got hurt. But I think the Lions will be okay. I think they will, they just got to get themselves together. I just think that the Lions staff this year kind of mixed some people in that I didn't think that was like, I'm not sure about this, but I think they'll get it right now.
I wish I could say I trust them to get it right. It's frustrating. You went on the road in Kansas City. Granted, a lot of things have to go your way, but still, it's a big game. You win it, you go home, electric atmosphere, sold out stadium, the loudest Ford Field's been probably since its inception in early 2000s. So it's frustrating, man. We can nitpick on the defense, Dan Campbell's decisions, Goff with a pick six, untimely fumbles, every fourth down, fuck it, just going for it. I mean, there's a million things, but I like what we said earlier as a panel before we went on. Patience a little bit. It's still the early part of the season. 1-1 doesn't mean your season's over. 2-0 doesn't mean you're the Super Bowl champs. So the NFL is a bunch of peaks and valleys. You're going to go through shit. I think what really bothers me the most is I'm seeing things that were issues last year and in year one. And that's more so the problem than even losing to Seattle. You're going to lose in the NFL. I'm sure most of you had them winning at least 10 games, probably 11. That means there's 6-7 losses on the schedule. Like, losing is always part of the NFL. Learning from them is part of it. But when I see Dan Campbell handling the clock the way he has over the last 3 years, the same shit with fourth down going for it, admitting after the game that, yeah, you know what, our defense played pretty well, but, we put them in bad spots. Whose fucking fault is that, buddy? Like, I'm trying not to lose my shit. I'm a father now. I'm trying to calm myself down, but I swear to God, I just fucking can't. So here I am, already swearing. God damn it.
Yeah. I try to compare the game to last year's matchup against Seattle. To me, it just came down to coaching. Carroll and that team found another way to beat you. Last year, they jumped up on us pretty heavy, ran the ball down our throats. This year, we kind of shut the run game down. Neither run game really did much at all, canceled each other out. Both quarterbacks played well, just like last year. Goff made a big decision, made a big turnover that kind of was one of the major turning points in the game, as it was last year. I was kind of alarmed that even though we don't have any big name, high profile pass rushers, can't really get too much pass rush pressure on the interior, they were without both of their starting tackles. So you're talking about a couple of guys that got off the street. And we were still not able to get any pressure. And through the first 2 weeks of the season, if you count that last fake sack, I call it a fake sack. It still counts as a sack, though, that Anzalone kind of got when Geno kind of handed him a sack. Aside from that, man, they haven't had any serious pass rush at all. And then what comes down to it, man, most of these games come down to 3 points or less. And the game that comes down to 3 points or less, you're talking about turnovers, which we lost the turnover battle. And you're talking about head coaching decisions. So you look at it for what it is, man. I'm not as worried about it. Now, when I look at Seattle, I view Seattle as just not the right matchup for us. Even though we kind of went toe-to-toe, people feel like we went toe-to-toe with Seattle a year ago, but they were kind of blowing us out. And then we were able to get some cosmetic touchdowns, whatever. We were not really in that game, I don't believe. Seattle would just outmanned us. And then they turn around this year. Outside of the first possession, Jared Goff looked really good. He kind of marched the ball downfield. But overall, it just never it just felt like, I don't know if it's just Pete Carroll in Seattle just being a bad matchup for us, but I'm not too confident that if we see Seattle again later on, if it happens to be in the playoffs, that we're going to beat them.
Walt, is it a coaching thing or is it a matchup thing with Seattle? That's my question. Because if
I
it's
think
coaching,
it's both, honestly,
Okay.
because, even if people like to laugh at Geno Smith, like people outside of Detroit like to laugh at Jared
I
Goff.
do. I laugh at him. Yeah, but
It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
But
you look like Dan Marino on Sunday.
yeah, but I think if you consider some of the matchups we had, guys like that Seattle Seahawks wide receiving core, Justin Jefferson with Minnesota, there are some teams in the NFC. If you're talking about San Francisco with the guys they got, the Philadelphia Eagles with A.J. Brown, who's a beast, Devontae Smith, to not really address the cornerback position, you let Amani go, who was not much to begin with anyway. He had that one season. You traded Jeff Okuda. You went out and you signed an injured Mosley, who may not play for us this season. If he does play, there's no guarantee he's going to be back next season. And Ashanti and I discussed this ad nauseum, like prior to the draft. I just felt like this draft class was loaded with potential elite corners, and to walk out of it with nobody.
Yeah,
I
Clark
thought
Phillips
was not,
too, Walt.
It was Clark Phillips. Even
For
Atlanta
Atlanta.
got Clark Phillips.
Yeah, and he might
Later
come
on.
back and bite us too. Yeah.
And everybody, I like Jack Campbell, the player. I have no issue with Jack Campbell, the player. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. But considering the needs of this team, to go offensively, to me, it just didn't make that much sense at all, man.
I
And
love
like I said,
Walt.
Gibbs could turn out to be a stud. He could. But considering the guys you passed on, considering needs you had, and like I said, me and Ashanti discussed this consistently, man. It seems to me like they spent the first 3 years drafting to prove a point that Jared Goff was their guy. We're going to give him everything we can. Screw the defense. We'll throw some Band-Aids on the defense. And is it that Aaron Glenn is terrible? Ultimately, it could prove to be Aaron Glenn is terrible. But have they given him as much as they've given Ben Johnson?
I think that's fair. I don't know if it's so much about Goff. What I would say is I think Brad Holmes has just missed a lot, especially on the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball. You look at Pascal, you look at McNeil, Onwuzurike. It just hasn't worked. And these are second, third round picks. Like these are like quality draft picks, not like some throwaway 6th round pick that ended up being kind of decent. Like these are second, third round picks. This is what takes you from a wild card team to a Super Bowl contender. It's not just hitting on your first round picks. And then last year, bold move trading up for an injured wide receiver. And then this year, Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. Gibbs at 12, Laporta first or second pick in the second round, whatever number it was. I don't know if it's so much that they're trying to prove that Goff is the guy. More so, I think they're arrogant. They've hit on a lot of draft picks on the offensive side of the ball. They looked really damn good. They had a top 5 offense last year. And I really think they're feeling themselves. And look, maybe they shut us up and Jahmyr Gibbs is way better than Bijan Robinson and he just takes the league by storm. I fucking doubt it. But let's say he does that. What does that mean for the Lions? Since 2015, there have been a handful of running backs taken in the first round, especially in the first half of the first round. You have Gurley, Melvin Gordon, Ezekiel Elliott, Fournette, CMC, Barkley, Jacobs, like good running backs. Which one of them are leading their team to a Super Bowl? And if you look at all of them, only Ezekiel Elliott has ran for 1,000 yards in at least 4 seasons since then. Nobody else. And you want to know who's ran for at least 3 1,000-yard years? Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, guys taken in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. That is so frustrating. So maybe you're onto something with the Goff thing. I haven't put 1 and 2 together there. I thought they were going to extend Goff regardless after last year, but I feel like Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell probably feeling themselves on offense, and it's biting them in the ass on defense, man. Christian Gonzalez balling out against Tyreek Hill on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. I'm sorry, that pissed me off. I don't know. It's frustrating. It really is.
Yeah, I think, well, before Shanti jumps in, I just want to say this too. I also think that when you look at all of those picks, and people constantly hammer in our heads how great Brad Holmes' picks have been. Well, let's be honest about it. Who's been great? If you look at it, Penei Sewell, coming out of Oregon, was deemed a can't miss prospect that they took at number 7. No one expected him to be a bust. He's great. Amon-Ra St. Brown, they got later on in the draft. St. Brown had no business going as late as he did. They hit on him. Aside from that, who else has honestly been great? I mean, they've got some guys that have been decent. Malcolm Rodriguez was a nice find a year ago, but people keep trying to sell us on how great all of his picks have been. Nobody's really been great outside of those two guys. And like I said, Sewell was a can't miss prospect coming out of high school. St. Brown was a very good player. But aside from that, like, who else has honestly been great?
Yeah, and you gotta understand, like, we're not used to like our picks like hitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, what this is what I mean. Like, the Patriots, the Steelers know when to come off of players, right? Certain players, and like the Lions have been in this shell for, y'all know better than me, for decades, right? That we just can't even draft a player in the first or second round that's even worth keeping or keeping on the roster. So when we finally get like a Malcolm, let's just use Malcolm Rodriguez for an example, who's sort of pissing me off. He's getting squoze out right now. Is he a top line starter? No, but damn it, he's better than what's been put out there the last couple games, you know, as far as the linebacker position goes. Okay, the Lions are gonna, and like you said, those maybe not be second contract guys when you get to Lee McNeil. Lee McNeil was my guy. Walt, you know, I've been saying Lee McNeil was the guy I've been clamoring for. He came in super shape, you know, looks like ready to go, and nothing, man, nothing Sunday. And it was really, out of everybody, for me, he was disappointing, because I thought that this was a game that he could maybe take. If I'm not saying he's going to get 3 sacks or anything like that, but just no pressure, just no, didn't even hear his name called, didn't even know he was out there. You know what I'm saying? And it's got to be super frustrating for, maybe, you know, let's give AG a break here. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know, what he wants to do, you know what I'm saying? But we don't have a horse to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because remember what I was saying, like, I kind of thought they were going to go defense in the draft, because I kind of thought they knew, hey, everybody's on AG's ass, and like, dude, this guy got to go, this type of thing. So maybe we'll get him some help. And I think Jack Campbell's the guy that can solidify that linebacker core, sure tackling, whatever. We've seen him bat a ball out of the air against Kansas City. Why in the hell is he not out there? And during the second half thing with Jack Campbell, I don't get it. I don't get why he's playing. I looked it up. He played 23 snaps.
Yep.
Why is he not out there? I don't get it. Like, and then the ridiculous sack from Anzalone really pissed. That's our defense in a nutshell. He ran 50 yards to make a sack, to make him go out of bounds. It's ridiculous. That was not a sack. That was just like Geno Smith kind of buying some more time to get the hell out of there. You know what I'm saying? And kind of going with the plan with Seattle.
Okay.
Like Adam said, with the coach, what Walt said with the coaching, with Dan Campbell, 0-2 now against Pete Carroll. Bill Belichick coached his ass off against us the last year. You know, we lost, what was it, 20-29 zip to the Patriots. It's almost like
the win, but yeah.
It's almost like when you get up against a coach that can coach, and not like a rah-rah guy, that's where Dan Campbell gets out coached, and you can see it a little bit. It for me, am I panicking? Yeah, kind of. Only I'm going to tell you why. This all of a sudden turns into a big game Sunday, because let's be honest, we've kind of had our way with the Aaron Rodgers, post Aaron Rodgers Packers for the last 5 or 6 meetings. We've had the Packers number, right? So now they turn over a new era in Packers football, and I think it's more revived. I think it's more vibrant, and the Lions are going to have their hands full Thursday night when they play the Packers. So they better get this win, because they could be staring down